Hello, hello, hello. Can you guys hear me now? I don't know what's going on with my YouTube today. Oh, hell, well, we can turn that down. Let me turn that down. You can hear me, though? Oh, hell, well, we can turn that down. Let me turn that down. You can hear me, though? Is that better? Tell me if that's better, if it's still loud. Okay, that's better. Sweet. Hopefully that's better. All right. Welcome to you guys that haven't been in here before. I don't do a lot of YouTube streams. I hate YouTube. I'm not a big fan of YouTube. But a lot of the people in the gold chat room like being in here. And like I tell people all the time, when I stream, you'll see a terminal up there with live trades that I'm in. So you'll see down there at the bottom, there's a terminal there that has live trades that I'm in. But we wanted to talk about gold and the reasons I still believe that gold is going to go up and that we should be looking to buy every dip. So if we go to the 4-hour chart, we did this the other day. If we go to the 4-hour chart and we look at the trend, since September 29th on the 4-hour trend, is it higher or lower on the 4-hour trend? So let me know if you can't hear anything or anything like that, but is it higher or lower on the 4-hour chart than it was if I do those two circles? Higher or lower? We did this the other day, but we can do it again. Is it higher or lower from this circle on September 29th to where it is now? Higher, right? So the 4-hour trend is up, right? Okay, that's good. Then you go to the daily chart. I do this all the time, and I would encourage everybody to do this. This is called higher time frame analysis, and you really should do it. So let's see where we are now on the daily chart. Oh, we're closer there. We can go even further down. Let's go even further down on the daily chart because we're closer. That we're further down than we thought. Are we higher or lower on the daily chart than we were? You should be doing this every day. You should be doing higher time frame analysis. Are we higher or lower on the daily chart? I got a shoe fly in here, so I'm going to try and whack it with my fly swatter if I can, but we'll see. Is it higher or lower? Got that, son of a bitch. Still higher, right? So you have the 4-hour and you have the daily that are an uptrend, correct? Pointy Alex. I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I apologize. It's not meaning to do it, but we're higher on both of those two charts. On the weekly, are we higher or lower? Alex, okay, that's fine. Yeah. Are we higher or lower on the weekly? Still higher, right? From there to there, that's higher, correct? Everybody? Still higher, right? Some people draw a trend from the previous, the near term, but I draw it from the left of my chart. Okay, so now I consider the 4-hour chart, the daily, the weekly, and the monthly the higher time frame charts, right? So now we've gone over the 4-hour, we've gone over the daily, and we've gone over the weekly. They're all higher time frame. They're all higher time frame uptrend, right? If we go to the monthly chart, is the monthly chart higher or lower? Yep, that is right, Alex. So is it higher on the monthly chart than it was? Now on the monthly chart, you have to go back to May of 2008, right? This right here where I drew that first circle is May of 2008. Is it higher or lower? It's higher. So every higher time frame is an uptrend. Does anybody know how rare that is, that every single higher time frame is aligned in the same direction? Does anybody know how rare that is? Does anybody know how rare it is to have the 4-hour, the daily, the weekly, and the monthly all aligned in the same direction? It's very rare. Very rare. Okay? In order for the monthly to be a trend reversal for me, it would have to come and break this area here, where I'm going to put that X. In order for it to be a trend reversal on the monthly chart, it would have to go down to 1,049. What is the likelihood that gold is going down to 1,049? Anything is possible, right, in trading. But what is the likelihood that gold is going back down to 1,049? Probably, like I say all the time, about the same likelihood that 5 Victoria's Secret models are going to show up at my door today and ask if I want to make love to all of them. It's probably about the same. It's possible, right? But the probability of that happening is very slim. Okay? With all the stuff going on in the world that we were talking about in that other room, the probabilities of it are very slim. The weekly chart, where would gold have to go on the weekly chart? What would be the weekly chart? The weekly chart, it would have to come down probably to the lows of April of 2018, which was at 1368, in order for it to be a trend reversal on the weekly chart, right? Back down to April of 2018. Yeah, it could be a gift from a friend, I guess. You're right. Okay, so in order for it to be a trend reversal, it would probably have to go down to that April high at 1368 to be a trend reversal on the weekly. Does that make sense to everybody? On the daily, it would have to go below 1678 again. On the daily, it would have to go below 1678 from earlier in March. And on the 4-hour, it would have to go back down to 1724. So the likelihood right now that all of these time frames are gonna change into to bearish is very, very slim, right? Again, that doesn't mean it can't happen. It means the probabilities of it are very slim. Okay, so if we have all higher time frames saying that gold is an uptrend, and again, that doesn't mean that gold can't go down, right? I'm not saying gold can't go down, but I'm saying in trading, all we're doing is we're trading probabilities. We're not trading certainties. No one knows for sure what the market's going to do. We're not Sith Lords from Star Wars and we deal in absolutes, like I say all the time. We are dealing in probabilities, right? Excuse me. Okay, so the probability is that all the higher time frames are an uptrend. So we would, if we're going to trade with the trend, what do we want to look for? If we're going to trade with the trend, do we want to look for buys or do we want to look for sells? If we're going to trade with the trend, we want to look for buys, right? It doesn't mean we can't sell, and I'm not saying sells don't work. I'm saying if you want, the higher time frames always win out eventually, right? That I can say with a certainty. The higher time frames always win out. Now it may take some time, it may drop, and it may take some time, but the higher time frames always win out. Well, we can talk about compounding here in a minute. I'm just trying to set the base of what we're looking for. So because I don't want to wait for those higher time frames, I don't want to wait 4 hours or a day or a week or a month. I take all my entries based off the 1 hour time frame. Okay, all of my entries, the way I trade, are based off the 1 hour time frame. So now we've established that the higher time frames are an uptrend, right? So now we're going to look for areas to buy gold again if it dips, right? Because we want to buy dips. So what is our area? Where is our significant area of support? It comes from October 14th at 1800, right around 1800. Does everybody see that? That's the area we broke. That's the area that was previous resistance that now becomes support, right? So if in order to buy gold, I can't, I'm a little bit different than most traders, okay? One, because I'm successful, which makes me different than most of the traders in that gold room. And two, because I do not buy as the market's going up, and I do not sell as the market's going down. Does that make sense to everybody? So I do not buy as the market's going up, and I do not sell as the market's going down. Does that make sense? I'm different than the majority of traders in there. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. Buy low, sell high is a true concept that has been true before all of us were born, and it will be true long after all of us are dead. And I use these analogies all the time, then we'll talk about a little bit more specifics on gold. We don't go to our real estate agent, right? We want to go buy a house. We don't go to our real estate agent and say, Mr. Real Estate Agent, I love this house, but I want to wait till it goes up 15% before I buy it, right? Nobody does that. Nobody who's smart goes to their real estate agent when they want to buy a house and say, I really like this house, but I want to wait till it goes up 15%. Nobody does that. Nobody goes to the car dealership and says, I really like this Lamborghini, but I want to wait till it goes up 15% before I buy it. Nobody does that. In every other investing we do in our lives, whether it's cars, whether it's houses, whatever it is, we look to buy low and we look to sell high, correct? Isn't that what we look to do? Look to buy low and we look to sell high. So, but when we trade, and the reason why the majority of traders lose is because they look to buy high, right? They look to buy high and they look for the break. This is a perfect example. They look to buy high right here, right? They look to buy high right here and they look to buy breakouts and hope it goes higher. And they look to sell low and hope it goes lower. So they invert that whole principle of buy high and sell low. They buy high hoping it will continue up, and they sell low hoping it will continue down. And then their stop losses are like 10 pips or 10 points, whatever you want to call it. I don't really care what you call it. So they do the wrong thing at the wrong time because they're buying tops and they're selling bottoms. And then they wonder why they lose, because you're doing it wrong. You're buying at tops hoping it continues up, and you're selling at bottoms. Okay, so let's look at this right now. So if I want to buy this currency, it would either have to come back down to 1800, right back down to here, right? It would have to come down to 1800 and then start showing some rejection in order for me to buy, right? Or I could buy again, and we're going to have to go to the 4-hour chart now. So 1800 would be a nice area to buy, or I can go to the 4-hour chart. Let me get rid of this. And we have this high here at 1813 that we hit Friday before the news, right? Everyone see that? So I have a couple of options. Well, yeah, Vaughn, 1800 would be your first one. I have a couple options. I can either buy if it comes back down to 1800. Let's say it doesn't come to 1800 and it just goes up past 1813 and then pulls back to 1813. I could buy then. And then if I buy the pullback, because I don't want to buy it just because it goes above 1813. That would be what other retail traders do, and that would be the reason why they're losers, right? I would wait for it to break above 1813 and then pull back to 1813. And then if I buy at 1813, because people are like, where's the target? Well, the target's just your next resistance level, right? So if I buy, if it breaks above 1813, pulls back to 1813, and I buy, my first target is up here, right? I'm up at 1834 because that was resistance from September 3rd. Does everybody see that? Mac, what's going on, brother? So does everybody see that? The other way that I can buy gold at this point is if it goes above 1813 by a decent amount, pulls back to 1813, gives me the rejection that I'm looking for, and then I can trade it, and the next target is 1834, which is resistance from September 3rd. Does that make sense to everybody? I'm not just going to buy gold because it goes above 1813. That's why the majority of traders lose, because they look to buy right when it breaks, and then it's a false breakout. So I would have to have it break above 1813, pull back to 1813 with rejection, and then give me and then give me the buy pattern, the buy that I look for. Okay. If I want to sell gold, because remember we can sell gold, is the best place to sell gold right here at 1807? Maybe, right? There's an okay resistance level right here from, I'm going to make another red line right here, maybe. Okay, so there's one right here around 1808.69 from September 14th. But in order to sell gold, I would have to start seeing that rejection on the 1 hour chart, which closes in 21 minutes. And for me, now you're going to see how I do it, and most of you people know how I trade it and what I look for. I would have to see a wick at the top longer than the body of the candle with very little to no tail at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to circle this one right here. Okay, I'm going to circle that. Okay, I'm going to go over that right now, okay? So do you see that wick at the top of that? You see the wick at the top of that candle that's longer than the body of the candle, the candle I just circled there? You guys see that? Hi. Do you guys see that? Do you see the candle I circled? I just want to make sure that people are seeing that. Okay. So that one has a little bit of a tail at the bottom, but so then I would enter at the close of that 1 hour candle, right? And I would enter a sell. So if I were to enter that sell, I would enter it at the opening of that next 1 hour candle, which was right here, right? At 1768. So in order to sell this, in order for me to sell gold, I would have to have a candle like the one I'm showing you right now around this area, but I would have to have a candle that shows me that sellers are coming into the market. So again, I just said it to you, but why is this candle significant when it has a wick at the top longer than the body of the candle? What is the significance of that? What is the significance of that? Of a candle that has a wick at the top longer than the body of the candle. What is the significance of that? What's the significance? I just kind of blurted it out while we were talking. But what's the significance of that candle? For me, it tells me that buyers tried to push and that that sellers came into the market. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? It tells me that buyers tried to push and sellers came into the market. You can call it order blocks. You can call it supply and demand. You can call it whatever you want. It's just fancy words for support and resistance. I know people get mad at me all the time. Supply zone and demand zones, liquidity zones, whatever you want to say, order blocks, they're all the same. It's basic support and resistance. Okay? You can package it up, dress it up, put lipstick on it. It's still a pig, right? The old saying, you can dress up a pig and put lipstick on it. It's still a pig. You can call support and resistance whatever you want. It's still just support and resistance. I don't care if you call it liquidity zones. I don't care if you call it supply and demand zones. They're all the same. And I get supply and demand people always try to convince me that supply and demand zones are different than support and resistance zones. They're not. Okay? They're not. Supply and demand zones exist because they are support and resistance zones. Okay, so if this ends up in 17 minutes giving me that rejection candle, then maybe we can sell, right? Now, in sells, you would be selling against the overall trend, right? Selling would be against the overall trend. But you still can do it. Your expectations of big moves are probably going to be less, but you can still sell. But your expectations need to be a little bit less because this still is an overall higher time frame. Overall is still an uptrend and will continue to be an uptrend. Okay, but you're right. Bears slap the buyers, and so then the other question that gets asked a lot is, why did gold go up or why did gold go down? And it's really rudimentary, actually, and it's really simple. It's really simple. The reason gold goes up is because there's more buyers than sellers. I know it's really complicated, and you guys, some people want to have these elaborate answers for why gold goes up. Gold goes up because there's more buyers than sellers, and gold goes down because there's more sellers than buyers. It has nothing to do with anything else other than the raw amount of buyers versus sellers. You can dress it up like a pig, like I've said before. You can put all your fancy, silly, bullshit lagging indicators on the charts all you want. You'll never see them on my charts because I think they're nonsense. But gold goes up because there's more buyers than sellers, and gold goes down because there's more sellers than buyers. It's really that simple. Okay? It's really that simple. Most of the time, traders make trading far too complicated. Far too complicated. It's not that difficult. It really is not that difficult. Don't make it more difficult than it has to be. So again, does that mean that gold can't go down? No, of course not. Gold can still go down. But what is the highest probability? The highest probability is I'm looking to buy every dip in gold. Does that make sense to all the people that are in that gold chat? Does that make sense? We got a couple of my old buddies here. Vaughn's a buddy of mine. But does that make sense to the people that have never been here before? Does that make sense? Okay, so now you're saying, well, you know, you're just some schmuck on the internet, right? Because in that gold chat room, I love to give people the business, right? I love to mock people. And we always talk about, you know, I always get told, well, you should be nice to people. And I use this analogy. I'm using it again because there's new people in here. The markets don't care about your feelings, okay? The markets don't give a damn about your feelings. The markets don't give a damn about my feelings. The markets don't give a damn about anyone's feelings. So when I go in that gold chat room, people are like, you need to be nice to people. I'm like, well, how do you think the markets are going to, do you think gold cares about your feelings? Do you think US 30 cares about your feelings? Nobody gives a fuck about your feelings. So, Yvonne, I'll show you in a minute. It's full of some of the dumbest people in the world. No one cares about your feelings, so you can check your feelings at the door, okay? I'm not talking about you at all, Mike. I'm not talking about you at all. So you can check your emotions at the door. I've been doing this for 17 years, guys. 17 years I've been trading. So, but why should you listen to me? Because I'm just some schmuck on the internet, right? Okay, so we're just going to go to this, and I don't show this to brag, and people will, I don't show this to brag. I'm showing you this so that you can see that you should not pay attention to anybody in any gold chat, any chat at all, who's calling out signals, who can't show that they're profitable traders themselves, right? That's one of my biggest pet peeves in that gold chat room is you have a bunch of idiots. You have a bunch of idiots in that gold chat room that are calling out trades to people, and there's new traders listening, and they couldn't trade if they couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat. These people are idiots. So all I say to them is, if you can't show that you're successful in a live account yourself, then what the fuck are you doing calling out signals in a gold chat room where people might be stupid enough to listen to you? Right? So let me ask you this, and I do this all the time. You see withdrawals here on my screen, and I can show you different accounts. I have several different live accounts. Can you withdraw money from a demo account? Yes or no? Can you withdraw money from a demo account? Can you withdraw money from a demo account? No. Okay. So apparently, I was able to withdraw $3,700 on that account, which is really weird. I think that's a 30-day history. It might be a 60-day history. I'm not exactly positive, but you can't withdraw money from a demo account. Okay. So I'm just showing you this to say I can prove that I'm successful in a live account. You still probably shouldn't follow me or take my trades because I trade different. But you still probably shouldn't follow me. But if they can't show this to you, then you should run away and hide from them. What does this look like right here? What does that look like right there? What does that look like? Does that look like a withdrawal history? I'm not showing this to brag to you guys. I'm telling you this, that if you pay attention to anyone in that gold chat room, we'll go to the chat room here in a minute. If you pay attention to anybody in that chat room that can't prove to you that they are successful in a live trade, live account themselves with their name on it, you need to run away and hide from them. Do not listen to a bunch of morons that couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat. Okay? They couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat. But they're in there calling gold trades because they're idiots. Okay? Do not listen to any of them at all. Okay? When I do my stream, which is very, very, very rare, you will always see a terminal with live trades that I'm in because I'm not a pussy. I'm not a FOMO homo pussy. Okay? So whenever I'm streaming, which is rare, you will see a live terminal with live trades that I'm in because I'm not a pussy. Okay? And I'm showing you this to say anyone who's successful at trading can show you that. Right? Anyone who's successful at trading can show you that. Do you want to see an account history on this one? Let's see an account history on this one, okay? Let's bring this account history up and let's look at the account history. Let's go to the last month. This is an FTMO account that I'm trading right here that passed both the verification stage and both stages. So this account is trading, quote, live, right? And I get 80% of the profits. You all know that FTMO, there isn't such thing as a live account. Okay, they're all demo accounts. All these FTMO challenges, you're not trading a live account. Okay, there's not people that are investing money into FTMO and then they're having you trade it. If you have an account that pays you money with FTMO or any of the funded programs, they're paying you with the fees from the losing traders that couldn't pass the two stages. Does everyone understand that too? There is no one is investing money in FTMO for random people to trade that they don't know. Nobody. Okay? So this account, I passed both the verification phase and the challenge phase and the verification phase, whatever you want to call it. This account started on the 18th, I think. Yeah, the 18th of this month. It's now what day? The 25th. So it's been about a week. And it was a $10,000 account. I'm just testing FTMO out to make sure you get paid. And so it is up, the account is up $1,200. So I'm up 12% in the first week in FTMO. Okay, and I'm showing you this live, it's not a live account, so I should be completely honest. FTMO is not live accounts, right? They're just not. Anyone who tells you are, you run away from them too. But this account, I'm up $1,200 in the first week, and I get 80% of the profits of this account. That's not too bad. Okay? But anyone who is successful at trading should be able to show you this kind of stuff. And if they're not, you run the hell away from them. Okay, so we'll go into the gold chat room. I know Yvonne wanted this gold chat room is full of the dumbest people I think I've seen in the history of trading. So we're going to go there again. It's full of dumb people. Here it is right here. It's called Forex Aliyah, and it's full of the dumbest people on planet Earth. I mean, you have Nancy Pelosi, who is the dumbest person on planet Earth. You have Alexander AOC, who's the second dumbest person on the face of the earth. And then you have Joe Biden, who's somewhere in between second and third for possibly being the dumbest people on the face of the earth. But as far as trading people, these people possibly could be the dumbest people around. Okay, and if you just go to this chat and you look at all the people in here, most of them are now people in here, so I can't say you guys are the dumbest. But you get a bunch of people in there. It is a fun chat, and I go in there to have fun. And we talk about all the time, Jaffer, the old saying that 80 to 90% of retail traders lose is true, right? Well, if 80 to 90% of retail traders lose, and there's 86 people in that chat room right now, if we just go to our calculator, and we'll just go to the lowest number, right? So 86 people in there times 0.80. So that means of those 86 people, maybe 12 of them are successful. Does that make sense to everybody? If we're going by that 80% number, because they say 80 to 90% of retail traders lose. Okay, if we go, so maybe 12 people in there are successful traders. If we go to 87 times 90, which means 90% of retail traders lose, that means maybe 10 people in there are successful, right? Look, they know I'm there too. They know we're watching it. Does that make sense to everybody? How does that not make sense? How does my math not make sense? Elber, how does my math not make sense? Explain how my math doesn't make sense. So if 80 to 90% of retail traders are losers, right? That means who is our best indicator? Who is our best indicator if we know that out of the 87 people, maybe 10 people in that chat room are successful? Who is our best indicator? Who is our best indicator? Who is our best indicator? Elber, you still got to explain to me how my math doesn't make sense. You still have to make sense to me. You still have to point out to me how my math doesn't make sense. I wasn't a math major. I got my degrees in psychology, but you're going to have to explain to me how my math doesn't make sense. Okay, so the question is, so now a situation where we can buy a dip. I don't know, where are we at on the gold, Alex? Are we at a resistance level on gold? Are we at a resistance or a support level on gold right now? Are we at a support level or a resistance level on gold right now? Alex, right here, where we're at right now. Are we at a support or resistance level? Are we at support or resistance? Okay, so we wouldn't be buying, right? No, we're at resistance, right? Because we're at a high. We're at resistance at 1807. We're at resistance. So we don't buy resistance. Remember what we talked about at the beginning? We don't buy resistance. We sell at resistance and we buy at support. So in order to buy, we would have to have it come back down to our support level. This is a 4-hour chart. And go back to the 1-hour chart. We don't buy unless we are at a support level. And a support level would be 1800, or if it breaks above, right? Does that make sense? So in order to buy this again, like we talked about earlier, you would have to break above this level right now and then pull back to this level, or you would have to pull back to 1800 and then give us the rejection pattern that I look for. And right now I don't see rejection pattern to buy. I see a 1-hour candle that's not closing with a rejection to the upside or to the downside. So I wouldn't do anything with gold right now. And remember, I don't take a trade unless I have that pattern that I told you guys about, the tail longer than the body of the candle or the wick longer than the body of the candle. I don't have either one of those on the 1-hour chart, so I'm not going to take a trade on gold. Plus, it's getting to be the slow time of the day, right? So I'm not taking any trade on gold right now, if that makes sense. I would need to have the pattern. Okay, Shankar, it might be, but what I'm saying, it's very hard because I don't feel like you just listened to what I said. Do I have the candle that I'm looking for on the 1 hour chart? Do I have the wick at the top of the body of the candle? Well, Sasha did that. Sasha can call it that, but Sasha, I've been doing this a lot longer than that. Then Sasha's been calling his dogtail, and that's fine with Sasha. Sasha's a good dude, and he's a friend of mine. But yeah, I've been doing this kind of trading long before Sasha ever called that a dogtail. Just so you know. But I love Sasha, so he's a good dude. So okay, well then. So you just answered your question, right, Alex? If I don't have the pattern, I don't do anything, right? If I don't have the pattern, I don't do anything. I don't have the pattern here. So let's go look at a couple other currencies, and maybe we have the pattern on a couple other currencies. We have the pattern possibly on the US 30, right? The US 30 looks like we have the pattern. Maybe, and if I don't know if he did or not, and if he did, and he's using it and he's profiting from it, that's great. I don't care. I didn't create that either, right? I didn't create. That's not. I mean, it's not something that I came up with. I don't have a patent on it. And if he's using it and he's profiting from it, that's great. I don't care. It's not mine. I don't have a patent on it, right? So the US 30 just had it, right? The US 30 just had the pattern right there. I don't own that. Anyone who wants to use it it's fine. I don't own that pattern. It's not mine. But the US 30 just had the pattern, right? You guys see that? That tail at the bottom of the US 30 is longer than the body of the candle. So if I believe in my system, I would buy the US 30 right now, right? But I already have, if you can see this red line right here, I already have a buy on the US 30 down at 35,596, where that X is. Where that X is, I already have a buy, so I'm not needing to buy the US 30 again, but that is the 1 hour pattern I would look for if I wanted to buy. So anyway, like I said, if he wants to call it a dog pattern, I'm totally fine with that. Sasha's a good dude, despite what I guess people were saying about him last week. I don't know why people are railing on Sasha. It doesn't make any sense. Sasha's a good dude. But if I weren't already in a buy, I would probably buy the US 30 right where it is. But I'm already in one. I have no idea, Mac. Why do we care if he's here? I don't know why we would care. I really don't. I don't care. If he wants to be here, that's great. If he doesn't want to be here, I don't give a damn. So I really don't care if he's here or not. Alex, we just talked about it. We just talked about it, right? Alex, we just talked about it. See, this is what's frustrating sometimes. I'm not trying to pick on you, but we just talked about it. What was the confirmation for the buy on the US 30? No, the other Alex. We just talked about it. What was the confirmation on the buy on the US 30? We've literally been going over that like constantly during here. What was the confirmation? Well, I circled that, so your buy would be the candle just closed 2 minutes ago, right? So your buy would be right where this new 1 hour candle opened, which would be right about where it is right now at 35,742. That's the confirmation. And again, don't take my word for it. I don't want you to take my word for it. Just go over and back test it. Back test every time you have a tail at the bottom longer than the body of the candle. You can start circling them and just back test it. Don't take my word for it. I don't want you to take my word for it. I don't want you to trust me. I don't want you to do anything. I want you to go back test it. Go back test it. And look at every time it has a tail longer than the body of the candle. And then if you enter at the opening of the next 1 hour candle, go back test it. I promise you it's right about 85% of the time. Some weeks it's not. Some weeks it's a little bit lower. Some weeks it's a little bit higher. But over the long run, just go back test it. Put in the work, right? Because one of the things that drives me crazy about that gold chat room is people will say, is it a buy or is it a sell? Well, what the hell do your charts tell you, right? A lot of these people want to just rely on the expertise or whatever you want to call it from those of us who have been in the markets for a long time. You don't become a better trader by asking people. Right? You don't become a better trader by asking people if it's a buy or sell. So whenever in that gold chat room people ask, is it a buy or sell? I say, what the fuck do your charts tell you? Look at your fucking charts. You're never going to become a better trader if you're asking if it's a buy or sell. Well, what do your charts tell you? Right? Anyway, now the other thing is this pattern 100% correct? No, of course not. Of course not. Well, Elber, I understand what you're saying because you're used to scalping, right? So I understand that. But when you trade the US 30, you have to have deeper stop losses. I understand what you're saying, but on the US 30, you have to have deeper stop losses. That's just, so your entry would have been at 35,742. The low of that tail is 35,710. I always put a 200-point stop loss on the US 30 whenever I trade it to begin with. But if you wanted to have less of a stop, you obviously have to have it below the low of that tail, because a lot of times it will come test the low of that tail and then it will go up. I would have it at the minimum 30 to 40 points below the tail. I always have it 200 points. 200 points is 150 to 200 points to me is, from trading the US 30 for a long time, is pretty typical for me. But the other thing that people don't understand too is, if I have a 200 pip stop loss on the US 30 and my target is 400, it's still a 1 to 2 risk reward, right? If your stop loss is 200 and your take profit is 400, it's still a 1 to 2, right? Elber, it would be better. Again, you do it however you want to do it. I'm not going to criticize you for doing it. However you want to do it is what's best for you. I just know for my trading, this is the way I do it. Okay? But once I'm up 40 to 50 points on the US 30, my stop always goes to break even. Always. Okay, if you can see the one I'm in right now, I'm up 150 points on the US 30 I'm in right now. You guys can see it on the terminal. I'm in at 35,600. So my stop loss is at break even right now, and I probably should move it up to take to more, but okay, so I want to talk really quickly too while we're doing this about, everyone has heard the old saying, there's several different ways to skin a cat. Well, there's two different ways. I feel like there's two different ways to make money in Forex. Okay, if you are right, if you have a 1 to 2 risk to reward, right? That's the old saying. There's several ways to skin a cat, right? That's just the old saying. That's just a saying. Well, again, it's just a saying. Okay, 1 to 2 risk reward. Do you know how many times out of 10 you have to be right if you do 1 to 2 risk reward? How many times out of 10 do you have to be right in order to make money if you have a 1 to 2 risk reward? You have to be right 4 out of 10 times to make money. Okay? That's just a saying. So I wouldn't skin a cat either. No one's skinning cats. That's just a saying. Okay? You only have to be right 4 out of 10 times if you practice a 1 to 2 risk reward. Right? Does everybody understand that? What is the other way to make money? The other way to make money is to have a high winning percentage, right? So if I have, let's just say I have a 200-point stop loss on the US 30, right? And I am right 85% of the time. So 15% of the time, let's just say I'm going to lose 200 points. But 85% of the time, I'm going to make money. So you either have a high you either have a high winning percentage and then your risk to reward isn't as important. I'm not saying it's not important. I'm just saying you either have a really good risk to reward ratio or you have a high winning percentage. So every now and again, out of 10, you're going to lose 200. But let's just say eight times out of 10, you're going to make money. So let's just say it's 40, right? Because we say at 40 to 50 pips, you're going to place your stop at break even. So let's say the other 8 times, you make 40 pips. Okay, because at 40 to 50, you're gonna set your stops at break even. So what's 40 times 8? That's 320. Pretty sure. 40 times 8 is 320, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I wasn't a math major. 40 times 8 is 320, right? 40 times 8 is 320. So even if none of my other ones go on a runner, even if none of my other ones go on a runner, and I'm right 85%, and 85% of the time I make at least 40, then I make 320 points, and I've made money, right? Does that make sense to everybody? Does that make sense? So 15% of the time, I'm going to lose 200 points. 85% of the time, at the minimum, I'm going to make 40 points. I still make money. So there's two different ways to, we won't use that analogy again. There's two different ways to make money trading, okay? There's two different ways. The way I do it is the latter one. I have a higher winning percentage. I don't know. I mean, I'm just not going to pay attention to the chat. I don't know why we come in here and talk about that stuff, but you guys do whatever the hell you want. I think, Alex, if that works for you, then you do whatever makes you happy. I've been doing this for a long time, and this is how I've traded for a long time, and I am going to take the trade. I'm going to take the trade when the trade sets up. No matter how many times the trade sets up, if I get what I'm looking for, I'm going to take the trade. I'm going to take the trade. I don't care if there's 10 opportunities a day, if there's 5 opportunities a day, if there's 15. I don't care. If one of the pairs I trade sets up with what I'm looking for, I'm taking the trade. No, but what I'm saying is, I take it because that's what I believe in, I guess is what I'm saying. And some days there isn't any setups, right? Some days there isn't anything that I trade because there's nothing setting up. But whenever that setup happens, I take the trade. So I don't have a set amount of trades I do a day. I know some people say 1 or 2 trades a day and then be done, and that's fine too. It just depends on what you want. It's all up to you. It's your money, right? But that pattern that I showed you works on any time frame, any pair. Any time frame, any pair. It works on crypto. It works on any of them. Any pair. You ask if it works on FTMO, of course, it works on everything. That pattern works on any pair, any time frame, whatever the hell you trade. Stocks, stonks, right? As people call them, stonks. It works on any of it. It doesn't matter what it is. It will work on any of those. I use it. I trade. The majority of the ones I trade: oil, gold, the US 30, GJ, and GA are the majority of the ones I trade. But it will work on any of them. You could use it on a 5-minute chart. You could use it on whatever chart you want. It doesn't really matter what chart it is. It works. And it will work on FTMO. But you have to back test it, right? I don't want anyone taking my word for it. I'm just some loser on the internet, right? You don't know me from Adam. I don't want you guys taking my advice on it. I want you to do the work, put it in the work, study the charts, and do that. Because if you'll take the time to do it, you'll take the time to look at that pattern. So we're going to go over it one more time, okay? Then I'm going to take off because the Seahawks are playing tonight and I want to get ready for Monday Night Football. If this candle were to close like this, and this is on the NAS 100, if this candle is not going to close, right, because that's a 1 hour candle. Okay, if that candle were to close like that, that would be a buy signal. It has a tail at the bottom longer than the body of the candle with very little wick at the top. That would be a buy. A sell would be the exact opposite, right? A sell would be a wick at the top of the 1 hour candle right here with no tail at the bottom. At the close of the 1 hour, you would have entered right there and you would have done really well. Here's another example. So you can do it on anything. A sell is just the opposite, right? I call it a wick at the top, right? Like a candlestick, a wick at the top, longer than the body. You would have entered right here. You would have done extremely well. Okay? That is a sell. A buy would be the candle that's forming right now that will close in 45 minutes. A buy would be a tail at the bottom longer. It's just the exact opposite. Go back test it. Don't take my word for it. What do you think about the GJ after the 900 pip move? We'll go down heavily soon. I think that I will let the charts tell me that. And I'm not saying that to be an asshole, because I am an asshole sometimes, right? I think I'll let the charts dictate to me how I trade GJ. Okay? I think I'll let the charts dictate how I trade the GJ. Right now we're trading in between the range on the high side of 156.82 and the low side of 156.20. So right now I'm going to let the charts tell me what I'm going to do on the GJ. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on the GJ that I do on all the other charts. If I want to buy, I'm going to look for my buy pattern. Buy pattern right there with it. And it doesn't matter the color of the body of the candle. I could care less about the color. I'm going to look for that tail longer than the body of the candle. If I want to buy, it's like those two right there. And if it's a sell, I'm going to look for the wick at the top longer than the body. So right now, because the markets are closing here and won't be open for a while, I'm not going to do anything, right? But I will not take a trade on the GJ unless there's a 1 hour candle close with the pattern that I'm looking for. Does that make sense, Kamal? I don't want to pronounce your name wrong, and if I am, I apologize. It's not intentional. Does that make sense? So if the wick is bigger than the body of the candle, it's an uptrend. It doesn't necessarily have to be an uptrend, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be an uptrend. That's not how I determine the trend. We determine the trend by going to the 4 hour, the daily, the weekly, and the monthly like we did at the beginning of this. And then the risk to reward, you can have a 1 to 2 risk to reward, or you can do it differently. On the GJ, or on gold, excuse me, I'm always setting my stops at break even once I'm up 30 points. Some people call it 30 pips. Some people call it $3. So if I get in gold at 1,800 and I'm buying, $3 would be 1,803, right? Once it gets to 1,803, I would place my stops at break even. Some people call it 30 pips. Some people call it this. You know what I mean? You can call it whatever the hell you want. When I get up 30 to 40 points on gold, 30 pips, $3, I always set my stops at break even. And then if it goes more in my favor, I will move my stops to more in my favor, right? Yeah, you can add me to Instagram. My Instagram handle is Ironman Futures Trading on Instagram, and I have a hater account, and I love the guy. Okay, if you don't have a hater account, then you're not doing anything important. Okay, I have a hater account. Ironman Futures Trading is my Instagram. I have a hater account. If you look, it's Ironman Futures Trading is a scam. I love the guy to death. He's my hero. Okay. So go to Instagram, you'll see Ironman Futures Trading. You'll also see Ironman Futures Trading is a scam. I love the guy to death. He's my hero. He's a complete jackass, but I love him. If you don't have a hater account, then you're not doing anything important. So I would recommend getting a hater account because they're awesome. Okay. But you can add me on Instagram, Ironman Futures Trading. I post all of my live stuff there. You can see it right there. I don't do FOMO, homo trading. All of my stuff is live accounts. I don't do bullshit. I'm not afraid to show that stuff. Not afraid to show that stuff. Okay? I've been trading since and I'm not saying this to you guys to make fun of you guys, but honestly, I've been trading longer. I mean, most of your mummies were still wiping your ass with baby wipes. I've been trading for 17 years for a living. I was trading while most of your mummies were still wiping your ass with baby wipes. I'm not saying that to make fun of you. I'm just saying I've been trading for a long time. So I kind of have an idea what's going on. But I lose too. I don't want to give you the impression that I never lose in trading. I absolutely do. I have losses just like everybody else. The difference is that my emotions are the same whether I lose on a trade or win on a trade. Does that make sense to you guys? Whether I win a trade or lose a trade, my emotions are the same. The day that you become emotionally detached from your trades is the day that you'll become successful. I'm the same emotionally whether I lose on a trade or win on a trade. My emotions are the same. I've been through far too many battles to give a damn about whether I win or lose on a trade. I'm going to lose sometimes. It absolutely is normal. Anyone who tells you they never lose trading, you need to run away from them because they're probably some Indian person from some sand-dwelling, cave-dwelling Middle Eastern country that is, trying to sell you something. So run away from them. We don't need a bunch of Middle Eastern cave-dwelling sand people that butt-fuck their goats. Okay, if you see that kind of stuff, you run away. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. That's not nice, but I'm kidding. But anyone who tells you that they don't have losses, you run away and hide from them because they're not telling you the truth. All right, does anybody have any questions before I go? Any questions? What was my biggest losing streak? I had a big one about 4 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. I lost 12%. I had a big losing streak a couple weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, where I lost 12%. But the thing is, if I would have just held on to the trades, I'd be up really good right now. And that pissed me off because I didn't follow my plan. If I bought gold as it was going down, and then I had a ton of orders in, and then I became a pussy at that point, and I took them all out, and I took like a 12% loss. But if I would have held all of those positions, I'd be in massive profit right now. And I was in no danger of getting margin called on my account at all. I was in no danger of getting margin called. I just took them out because I got bored. It was taking a long time, and I did what I'm telling you guys not to do. I did it because I'm human and I make mistakes. But if I would have just kept those trades in, I would have been making massive, massive amounts of money on those trades right now. So I still make mistakes. I'm not perfect at all. I'm married, right? I joke about this all the time. But if you're a dude and you're married, you learn 2 phrases. You're right and I'm sorry. You're right and I'm sorry. Because you're always wrong when you're married. Your wife is always right. And you learn to apologize real fast. Okay? That's just the way it goes. Well, I mean, my stops on my oil trades are in profit. Massive profits. Happy wife, happy life. They never ask happy husband, happy life, do they? They don't really give a damn about us. They always say happy wife, happy life. What about us, right? What about the guys? What about our happiness, right? We're actually very simple creatures. Just feed us, have sex with us, and tell us we're doing okay every now and again. Men are pretty simple. Okay? Feed us, make love to us, and tell us we're doing a good job every now and again. And men are pretty simple. Women are far more complicated than that. Okay? Alex, I'll keep the contracts on oil till I think above $100 a barrel. So what I do is I trade. I'm going to show you guys this here too, because again, I'm not afraid to show people stuff. I have a couple of different brokers. I trade with FX Live Capital. I trade with Henko Trade, which is right here, and then I trade with Hugo's Way. And the reason I trade with those overseas broker, because I'm in the United States, is because I get 500 to 1 leverage, right? I get really good leverage on my money. And then what I do at the end of the month is all of my profits that I take from, I think it's 7 different live accounts that have 500 to 1 leverage. I take all of that money out and I put it in my TD Ameritrade account that is only 100 to 1 leverage. Okay, my TD Ameritrade account is my long-term retirement account that I put all of my profits into from my 500 to 1 leveraged accounts into my TD Ameritrade account at the end of the year, at the end of the month, excuse me. Okay, so whatever profits I make during the month goes into that account, and that's my long-term. And I have gold buys in my TD Ameritrade account from $14.95 and up. So I've been in gold buys in my TD Ameritrade account for a long time. You'll never see my TD Ameritrade account. 1, you're not entitled to see it, and 2, I don't have to show it, and 3, I don't give a fuck. That's my retirement account, okay? So no one will ever see that. Cry about it, complain about it all you want. You'll never see it because I don't want to show it to you, and I don't have to, right? So, but all my profits from these other accounts go into that. All right, so the market's about to close, guys. I'm going to be chatting in the gold chat room again just because it's fun to be there, and I'm having really nothing else to do. But I'm going to end this stream for now. But we'll go in there and we'll have some fun at their expense because they really are pretty dumb, to be honest with you. They're pretty dumb, and I just like to have fun with them. How do you deal with the taxes? Well, I have a business, and I get a lot of business write-offs. But remember, you only pay taxes on realized profits, right? Right, Alex? So you only pay, for now, until Biden even changes that, which I'm hearing he's going to, you only pay profits on realized. So once you take it out of your broker and it hits your bank account, that's what you pay taxes on. So I try to take the minimum amount out every month I can switch it from one account to the other and not pay the taxes. But I can't, if I take it out and it hits my bank account, then I pay capital gains on it. So I try to take out the least amount possible. But I also keep these 500 to 1 leverage accounts pretty small. So anyway, and I don't have a lot of bills. You can write off the losses, yes. I don't have a lot of bills. My house is paid for. I don't have car payments. I have less than $1,000 a month in bills. So I technically don't have to make a bunch of money in order for me to be comfortable. All right, so we'll go back into the gold chat room. We'll chop it up in there. You can write off the losses, yes. We'll go chop it up in the gold chat room and make fun of them. All right, everybody, thanks for coming in, and we'll talk to you again soon.